When those cameras capture what could be a violation, the photos are immediately sent to the police for review. But sometimes it isn't just one camera. There could be dozens. Buildings like these behind me are popping up all over Metro Detroit, and these start at $700,000, which begs the question, who can afford them? We've watched officials remove dozens of animals from this house behind us, and the police said the inside is a disgusting mess. Stephen Rudy doesn't remember anything about the attack, but what he does remember is the person at this apartment the night it happened. Since the shooting Thursday night, this neighborhood is being victimized for a second time on social media. It seems like the calm before the storm. Nothing's really happening now, but for residents here in Southfield, they're bracing for another significant snowfall. He lived right over there, right under the overpass. But thanks to an ambitious program by the Oakland County Sheriff's Department to help the homeless, this veteran can now sleep safely. The last time we talked to you, there was no suspect in this investigation. But tonight, we have a breaking new development. Construction has stopped on this development due to numerous building code infractions. A 9-year-old schoolgirl abducted as she stepped off the school bus just blocks from her home. We're here today for a big announcement concerning our taxpayers and the new Royal Oak City Hall. Breaking news, as students from Oakland Community College campus were advised to run, hide, or fight. Today marks the official start of the 2020 Detroit Winter Blast, and it takes place right here on Campus Martius. Are you cold, buddy? When you think of Andiamo restaurants, you probably think of intimate dining and a warm and cozy atmosphere. But what you may not know is that Andiamo is an integral part of one of Detroit's biggest outdoor parties, the Detroit Grand Prix, held right here on Belle Isle.
Let's go racing here in Detroit. Juan Pablo Montoya off to a flyer. And
on race weekend in Detroit, over 500,000 people will come to Belle Isle to see Indy cars from all over the world compete for the trophy. And while the fans are here for the cars, the drivers, and the excitement, what they need is food and drinks, and lots of it. Every spring, this quiet island is transformed into a bustling complex that will help feed the enormous crowds. It's an incredible amount of work. Hundreds of workers working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for a full 35 to 40 days before Grand Prix weekend.
And when you put on a temporary street course event like we're doing here in Detroit, it's a large undertaking. If you can imagine, on Belle Isle, there is no infrastructure. There is no water. There is no power. There are no kitchens. So everything that Andiamo does, they have to create with our support there.
To pull off a world-class event like the Grand Prix, everything has to be top-notch. That's why the organizers of this event count on the Andiamo Restaurant Group to provide the food.
Some of the things that we bring to the table is, our planning, our organization, our infrastructure, and the mobile kitchens and the equipment that we have. We make it fresh every day, whether we're cooking for 2 people in a restaurant or 20,000 people on Belle Isle for the Grand Prix. It's the same philosophy and it's the same method of operation and method of preparation that we would use.
Of course, the cars are the real stars of the Grand Prix. It's been over 30 years since we first brought the race to Detroit, and it's become one of our most cherished attractions.
Yay, Grand Prix 2018!
It's more than just auto racing. It's people watching. It's to get a chance to come down to see the beautiful island, to see the city of Detroit. And the cars are a big part of it. Obviously, I love racing. I love the sound of the cars. I love the speed, but there's so much more to it.
Yeah, Grand Prix 2018.
It's one of the greatest events in the world.
Just the island itself. It's got fountain, everything. It's just wonderful.
This year's Grand Prix will be held May 29th through the 31st. And whether you're coming for the cars, the people watching, or the outdoor fun, just know the great food you'll be having will be compliments of Andiamo. I'm Jolie Sherman on Belle Isle. The temperature sure is cold, but inside these bars, it's hot. Because we're here celebrating the Ferndale Blues and Music Festival, and we're in the thick of it. That's right, the sweet sound of the blues is everywhere, even at the Ferndale Rec Center. The festival's expected to draw over 20,000 people from all over Metro Detroit. It's more than music, however. It's great food and incredible atmosphere.
We started this 11 years ago, and for a number of reasons, We wanted to keep the blues alive in Metro Detroit. We should have a big blues festival in the Motown, I think. We wanted to raise money for charity. We have a great nightlife, and so we organize with all the clubs, the restaurants, the library, the community centers, and we bring music to the town for 9 days straight.
To ensure that the festival is a success every year, participation from bars and restaurants is an absolute must. The Ferndale Blues Festival has been extremely lucky on that front, with some of the area's most popular venues participating from the very beginning.
You know, when we first started this, we had 5 or 6 clubs. Now, Dino's, which is the anchor of the Ferndale Blues Festival, every year he wins the Blue Pig Award, which is the famous award that for who raises the most charity. He puts on the Blues Barbecue, which is extremely popular. But places like Como's, House Bayou, which is a bluesy New Orleans place, they've always been part of it. Max Dugan's is holding a bunch of concerts. And then our sister city to the west, Royal Oak Charter Township, as you know, had some really good music earlier this evening.
It's something that we do to try to be part of the community, give back to the community. We pay for the bands. We ask for donations.
And those donations can add up quick. This year alone, the festival will be donating over $50,000 to several local charities, proving once again that with just a little bit of effort and a lot of big-hearted people, we can make a difference. There's no better way to beat the winter blues than with some good blues music. With over 20 different venues, 50 different bands, and all of Ferndale at your fingertips. Reporting live, I'm Jolie Sherman. Do you remember the movie RoboCop? About the badly injured police officer who was reborn with a robotic exoskeleton? Even though that sounds like Hollywood fantasy, it's happening right here at the Rehabilitation Institute of Michigan, helping people with disabilities who never thought they'd stand again actually get up and walk. In 2014, John Barrow went to work just like every other day. By the end of the day, John's life would be changed forever. A diver with the Michigan Historical Divers Club, John was working a wreck deep in Lake Superior when he encountered a problem.
And so in the summer of 2014, we found a new shipwreck in Lake Superior. And I was actually doing a filming dive on that shipwreck and had an equipment problem which caused my spinal cord damage. I couldn't move my legs at all, my feet wouldn't move at all. My hands and arms were very weak. I was still pretty much very much a bowl. I felt like a bowl of jelly. Couldn't sit up, couldn't even hold silverware.
John's injuries classified him as an incomplete quadriplegic, and doctors gave him very little hope for recovery. Then he heard of a new therapeutic trial running at the Rehabilitation Institute of Michigan. Using a new technology that employed a robotic exoskeleton, the Rehab Institute was able to claim great progress in the treatment of spinal cord injuries.
So the device is already preset for the patient based on their measurements. We measure the upper leg, the lower leg, and their hip width so that the device will bend the patient where their joints are. If they're not aligned properly, then we can cause some problems. Once the patient transfers into the device, we strap them in, and then the rest is just software programming that I tell the robot how to stand and when I want it to, and it's a bunch of button pushes from there on. And the robot is smart enough to do what the patient needs it to do. So for our patients who don't have any lower extremity movement, I can program the robot to be a total assist, where the robot does everything and it gives the patient a walking experience. On the flip side of that, I can tell the robot, this patient has some muscle strength, let them use it. And the robot will then pick up the slack, where it will let the patient do as much as they can and then give them only what's necessary.
Therapists at RIMS say that just the fact that patients can stand and mimic walking, even if it's completely robot-assisted, gives them an incredible advantage in the healing process. And not only will it help bring a patient back physically, but mentally as well.
It gave a lot of hope, I would say, because it's the one exercise where I'm actually standing up and walking, or simulated walking. It started to help my body remember a little bit about what that was like. Because for months prior to that, there was nothing that close to walking at all.
The benefits are so much more than just physically what we can accomplish in the robot. It really does a lot for patients' motivation, for their just willingness to keep going and work so hard. And it does a lot for family members too, to see their loved ones back on their feet again.
Exoskeleton therapy is one of the many technologies that the Rehabilitation Institute of Michigan uses to help people with spinal cord injuries. And it's one of the reasons it's ranked as a top 10 rehabilitation hospital in the U.S. I'm Jolie Sherman. At Heartland Community College, video gaming is a widely appreciated activity. So much so, it's being added to the curriculum. Thanks to Heartland's Board of Trustees, the program will go from club to team starting next fall.
So right now we're really looking at all of the ins and outs of starting a program like this. I'm hiring a coach, we're looking at facilities, getting an arena up and going, but really we would like to have this up and going by our fall semester of 2020.
A program like this was a fairly easy sell to the board as it benefits students in many ways. From teamwork to communication skills, gamers are operating just like teammates on a sports team.
So I played like sports all throughout high school, and I can see the same things being applied in esports as well. It's a lot of team communication. You have to rely on each other, a lot of independence. You have to also grow as a person.
After placing first in their division last year, Heartland knew it was time for a change. To support their talented gamers, the college plans to hire a coach, upgrade their facilities, and recruit interested members. And those sticking around Heartland a little longer will get to experience the new changes. Heartland Community College's varsity esports team is set to take place in the fall. But until then, gamers are going to continue lounging right here in their game room. Jolie Sherman, TV 10 News. Student Health Services from Illinois State University sent a mass email notifying the campus community about the coronavirus.
Well, Illinois State University, we're treating this like any other communicable disease or any disease that can be passed from person to person. So anything like measles or mumps, it's the same protocols.
One student from Shanghai, China says the government has been quick to respond to the virus and citizens' needs.
That's amazing efficient action from the government. They set up a hospital like within 1 week. This hospital can taking over 10,000 patients.
This hospital, built to handle the coronavirus, was completed in 2 days. Already, thousands have contracted the virus and 100 people have died from the disease. Back at home, ISU faculty and staff advised the campus community to protect themselves as one would with a common cold. Rest assured, the threat of the coronavirus on Illinois State University's campus is quite low, but faculty and staff are taking matters very seriously and will continue monitoring developments and implementing appropriate responses as more information comes into focus. Jolie Sherman from TV 10 News. This afternoon at Illinois State University, faculty, staff, and students will take their seats, and speaking at the front of the room will be Governor Pritzker. Just recently, Governor J.B. Pritzker signed a $45 billion Rebuild Illinois capital plan, the first in over a decade. The grant is expected to improve roads, bridges, railroads, universities, early childhood centers, and state facilities. Today, Governor Pritzker will take the podium in the Student Art Gallery to praise the grant that's giving art students and professors upgraded classroom environments, and members of the art department are pleased.
So I've done art most of my life in elementary, middle, and high school, and I even took AP art in high school so I could earn credit here, and now I'm furthering my education here.
For art students, innovations to the building and equipment could greatly impact their academic careers. Rebuild Illinois is not only the largest capital program, it's the only one that is truly multimodal.
The classrooms and the building overall, sometimes the tile is cracked and the ceilings kind of falling apart and everything, and hopefully having it fixed would help us learn better.
In just a few short hours, Governor Pritzker will walk through these doors and take the podium to discuss the grant that is giving the CVA some new renovations. Jolie Sherman, TV 10 News.